My brother is fond of using Craigslist to find good electronic deals. The latest iPhone was out at the time, and this dude in Akron, Ohio was selling it for 30% the retail price. Sounded too good to be true, but my brother contacted the seller anyways. He stated that he got it for free and wanted to sell it off because he needed the money. He asked my brother to meet up with him at a local frozen custard shop at 10 p.m. My brother showed up, but after noticing the vacant lot in pure darkness, he drove off. The seller called my brother instantly and stated that he saw my brother drive by, but needed my brother to enter the lot. That's where the trade would be made. My brother drove back, and this time you can see the headlights on the seller's car cascading across the vacant parking lot. My brother called him back and stated that it was too dark and he didn't feel comfortable. After a bit of talking, they agreed to meet up at the closest McDonald's. My brother went there as fast as he could and went inside. My brother called the seller and told him to come inside to do the trade. The seller told my brother to meet up at the back parking lot of the McDonald's. At this point, my brother stated that he no longer was interested because it seemed like the seller had other agendas. After ordering some food, my brother and my cousin left McDonald's and proceeded to their car. Out of nowhere, this dude with a black mask strangles my little cousin and shouted at my brother, "Give me all your money or he dies." My cousin cried, "Quick, give him all your money, I don't want to die." My brother left my cousin and rushed back inside McDonald's. He called 911 and the employees locked all the doors. My cousin was released and he stayed by the door until the cops showed up. Seemed kind of messed up to leave a young child outside alone, but everyone was afraid that the gunman would be hiding. My family stopped using Craigslist after this. I had an entertainment center advertised, and a woman asked to come over to have a look at it. We set up a time, and when the time came, she didn't show up. I texted her, and a couple hours later she replied and asked if it was too late to come by. It was 10 p.m., but I said okay. She said she would be there in 10 minutes, but wasn't there 20 minutes later, so I texted her again. 10 more minutes, she said. But she didn't show up by 11, so I texted again and said we would have to do it another day. She replied that she was just pulling up. I go to my front door and sure enough, she's pulling into the driveway, and there are 4 or 5 other people in the car with her. They all got out and started walking towards the door. I asked them what they were doing. The woman says they all want to see the entertainment center. I told her that only she could come in, and at that point I wasn't sure I even wanted her in. She said she needed at least one other person's opinion. I said no. She got indigent and I asked her to leave, and she said that I wasn't being a very good Christian. Told her I was fine with that and went inside my house, locked all the doors, peeked out the window. One of the dudes who was with her was pissing at the end of my driveway. They got in their car and drove away. The whole thing was really bizarre. I was moving out of an apartment that had washer and dryer hookups into one that did not. So I sold my washer and dryer. Ended up having separate buyers. Guy who bought the dryer was great. He was getting it for his daughter who was going to college. I helped him load it up in his truck. He gave me the payment. I never heard from him again. The guy who bought the washer was a different story. I got a text from him asking if it was still available. We haggled the price, all normal stuff. We set a time and I waited for him to get there. Now, I only had 1 week left in the apartment, so I didn't care too much about random people coming to my home like I normally would. Pretty much all my stuff was moved into my new place, but the internet wasn't turned on yet, so I was still sleeping on an air mattress in the old one for the time being. The guy ended up being a few hours late and showed up in a truck that was used for transporting large glass panes. He had like 5 people with him, all crammed onto the front bench seat of the truck. They loaded the washer onto the truck, leaned it at a 30-degree angle against the glass pane rack. The guy tried to haggle down to a lower price, but I didn't budge. He paid, he left, and I thought it was done. Later that night, I started getting texts from him about how it doesn't work and he wants his money back. I told him, as it was written in the post, that it was sold as is, and it was working. I assume he damaged it in the way he rigged it on his truck. Well, after a day, he started calling me and cussing me out, texting death threats. And I have other random numbers calling me, doing the same. 2 nights later, I woke up at 3 a.m. with people banging on my door yelling. Luckily, I lived on the 2nd floor with no easy access to the windows. I sat there for about 15 minutes while they continued to yell through the door. The next day, I moved the rest of my stuff into my new apartment and never went back other than to turn the keys in. I still got calls and texts from that guy for 2 months. I don't sell stuff on Craigslist anymore. Back in high school, I was selling some stuff on Craigslist. This guy hits me up looking to buy, and the day he wanted to meet up didn't work with my work schedule, so I told him I could meet him later that week. Fast forward a couple of days, I get off work, and as soon as I'm off, I get a call from a blocked number, which typically means police enforcement in my mind. I answered, and the person said, "Hi, this is the Kansas City Police Department, and we noticed you had communication with the guy. What is your relationship to him, and how do you know him?" I answered, "I don't really know him, but I do believe that might have been a guy I was trying to do a Craigslist deal with." The caller responded saying, "Thank you, that's all." At the time, it didn't really hit me, but after work, I went over to a friend's house for dinner. As I walked in, my friend's mom was watching the news and she exclaimed, "Did you hear what happened? They found a girl murdered." Minutes later on the screen, the news report stated that the police found the primary suspect of the murder to be the guy and is currently in police custody. Not long after, the man was found guilty. I literally could have been a victim. Man, really scary stuff.